Good morning, second grade. It's Mrs. Carbo, and I'm here to read to you The Boy Who Cried Wolf. This is an Aesop fable. So this is illustrated by Katie Daubney. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There was once a shepherd boy called George who tended his sheep on the hilly slopes just outside of his town. He worked all day by himself and often got lonely and bored with just his flock for company. George tried to find ways to keep himself busy. He got the sheep to jump over a fence and counted them one by one, but this just made him sleepy. He even gave them funny hairstyles, but the sheep weren't impressed. Each morning, George would move the sheep from field to field so that they could graze on the green grass. But it was boring to watch them eat all day long. He was fed up with rescuing the silly sheep from hedges and ditches. So one day, after spending all morning trying to catch a naughty ewe, George came up with an idea. He left his flock alone and rushed down the slopes toward the town as fast as his legs could carry him. He pretended to be in a panic and shouted, "A wolf is attacking my sheep!" The townspeople jumped up and ran with George back to his flock. They soon realized that there was no wolf and returned to the town grumbling. George went back to his duties for the next few days, but the weather was cold and wet. He didn't enjoy being out in the rain at all and started to think about trying his trick again. So the next morning, he ran to the town again shouting, "Wolf, wolf!" There really is a wolf this time. He burst into the courtroom and ran up to the judge. "You must come and help me rescue the sheep. Otherwise, I will lose my flock." Again, the townspeople came rushing to help them. But when they saw there was no wolf, just like the first time, they were very upset. Soon after they left, George noticed something moving in the trees. He thought it was his eyes playing tricks on him, but then he saw a furry body, bright eyes, and sharp teeth. The wolf came rushing toward the sheep. They ran away as fast as they could. Grrr! George waved his arms and shouted at the wolf to leave, but it was no good. So he turned and ran, crying, "Wolf!" in earnest this time. He rushed into the town, calling for help, but no one would listen. He ran to the butcher, who shook his head and said, "You've lied one too many times." Then he ran to the baker, but the baker shook his head and sent him away. Eventually, George gave up and hurried back to his flock. Some of the sheep were missing and the rest had scattered far and wide. The wolf was fast asleep, looking fatter than before. George shouted at the wolf to wake him and chased him away at last. It took George all day and all night to gather the rest of his flock. George had learned that a liar will not be believed, even when he speaks the truth. I hope you enjoyed my story. Have a great day, second grade.